The acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Xbox has officially been approved in another country. All right, guys, before we get into this, my goal is to hit 10K subscribers by the end of the year, and I see a lot of you are new here. If you like daily content, you like these styles of videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We got some big news yesterday when it comes to the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and that is that the Brazilian Market Authority has officially approved the deal. Now, this is a big thing because if you remember back when we first started hearing that Sony was going to the market authorities and complaining about this deal, trying to get the deal blocked, the Brazilian Market Authority was the first one where we saw documents come out detailing exactly what Sony was saying. Now, we know what the argument was that was coming from Sony, and it had to do with Call of Duty, basically saying that there is no other company out there, no other developer that is going to be able to create a rival to Call of Duty. So if it does go exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, it would hinder competition within the video game industry. And then the second part of the argument was that they wanted to ensure content parity across all the platforms with Call of Duty if Xbox were to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is an extremely hypocritical argument coming from Sony. We've seen what they have done since acquiring the marketing rights of Call of Duty, which was have exclusive content that you needed to buy PlayStation in order to get that content for the game. In fact, on the day that we heard about them complaining to the CMA about this deal, specifically mentioning things like content parity, they came out with advertisements highlighting the exclusive stuff that you were going to be getting with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 if you were to purchase the game on PlayStation. So the entire argument so far from Sony has been absolutely absurd. Brazil saw right through this, and they went ahead and they approved the deal, saying some pretty interesting things and, hey, calling out Sony and saying that we're not here to protect you. We're here to protect the consumers, and your arguments for trying to block this deal just aren't going to be very valid. They're absurd, and you're still going to be able to compete when Call of Duty is a part of the Xbox ecosystem. So here's some of the stuff that they have said. Investment in exclusive content is and always has been very important for the competitive dynamics in the console segment. Exclusive content was most likely one of the main factors responsible for positioning the PlayStation as a leader in the world console market for more than 2 decades, a leadership that continues to this day. Now, that's a valid point. It is definitely part of the dynamics of the competitive nature between these companies. I would definitely argue, though, that exclusive content isn't the main driving force that get people to go out and buy consoles. I mean, we've seen this multiple times, talked about on this channel, that third-party content makes way more money than any exclusive content, particularly even on PlayStation. I think they have maybe like 18% of their users actually play their first-party games. With over 100 million plus PlayStation 4s, there was way more money being made last generation and even still this generation on third-party content than 20 plus million PS5, the same thing, 18%. It's a good chunk, but it's not nearly as powerful as having great third-party content. We've also seen this generation with Xbox and the Xbox consoles, how they have zero first-party console exclusive games as they are all coming onto PC day and date at the same time they come onto Xbox, and that has in no way hindered the sales of the Xbox Series X and S. I would say so far this generation, Xbox has put an end to the argument that you need console exclusives in order to sell your devices. Now, the next thing they go over here, specifically focusing on Nintendo, they say here, with the acquisition of a publisher such as Activision Blizzard and considering the theoretical risk of the company's content becoming exclusive to Xbox, it is likely that the eventual conclusion of the transaction will give Microsoft a considerable competitive advantage in the console sector. Even so, Kay does not see that such an advantage represents a risk of closing this market for current competitors, as it already is seen that Nintendo does not currently rely on any content from Activision Blizzard to compete in the market. And that's a great point that I don't think a lot of people have been talking about when it comes to thinking about the chances of whether this deal is going to be blocked. I think the last Call of Duty on Nintendo was Call of Duty Ghosts on the Nintendo Wii U. So there's been no Call of Duty whatsoever on the Nintendo Switch, one of the best-selling consoles of all time. And Nintendo has been absolutely fine, still the leader with console sales, still outselling the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and S on a monthly basis. Console that has been out since 2017. Nintendo has proven that you can compete in this market with other companies taking games like Call of Duty off of your platform. That's not even to say that Xbox is going to do that with PlayStation. They've already said they're keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation. So that is the also main thing about this entire argument from Sony and from Jim Ryan, is that Xbox has told you guys, Call of Duty is staying. It isn't leaving, at least for the next couple of years. It is the main thing they're still focusing on. And again, Brazil continues to call it out. Moving on here, they say, in turn, Sony has several predicates: strength of the world's leading brand for more than 20 years, extensive experience in the sector, largest user base, largest installed base of consoles, robust catalog of exclusive games, partnerships with multiple third-party publishers, brand loyal customers, etc., which should contribute to maintaining the competitiveness of PlayStation in a possible post-transaction scenario, even in the face of the possible loss of access to Activision Blizzard content. And right there, they're calling everything out. I mean, it's right there. PlayStation has absolutely no excuse if they start to fall off once this deal goes through. They have so many things working in their favor. They have people that will literally go out and buy anything PlayStation puts out at any price that they will put out. They have huge brand loyalty. They have great marketing, and they have tons of amazing developers already under PlayStation Studios that could easily go out and make games that rival Call of Duty, that are similar to Call of Duty. Now, will they become as popular as Call of Duty? That will be harder. That will take a lot longer to occur because of just how big Call of Duty is within the video game industry. It is a culture of its own, especially when Modern Warfare 2 came out, and then Black Ops and Black Ops 2 back on the 360 days, it exploded. So it will take a while for any game to be able to rival the numbers that Call of Duty does, but they definitely can make a game that people play where it's profitable and it is a game to take seriously within the first-person shooter genre of video games. And let's say they do decide to go out and make a game to rival Call of Duty. They actually take their studios and put them on making a new first-person shooter, diving into older IPs like Resistance, like Killzone, to try to make a game that will compete head-to-head with Call of Duty. It will take years for them to catch them, but at the same time, they already have a huge install base of people that are so loyal to the brand, they will go out and spend $70, $80, however much they want to price the game at. Now, the Brazilian market authority, CADE, they conclude their findings, and I think this is one of the most important things that will signify the rest of the market authorities and what they're going to come out with their decisions, the type of stuff that they're going to be looking at. They say here, it's important to highlight that the central objective of CADE's activities is the protection of competition as a means of promoting the well-being of Brazilian consumers, and not the defense of the particular interests of specific competitors. In this sense, although it is recognized that some PlayStation users could decide to migrate to Xbox in the event that Activision Blizzard games, especially Call of Duty, become exclusive to the Microsoft ecosystem, CADE does not believe that such a possibility represents in itself a risk to competition in the console market as a whole. And I say that's extremely important because that is the job of these market authorities. Right now, it's kind of being looked at when you look at the CMA, you look at the EU, that people think that they are kind of standing up for Sony. That's why they are trying to look further into this deal. And I don't believe that to be the case. They are just having to do their due diligence, and their goal is to make sure the consumers are protected and that they still get access to a competitive market. And what Xbox is doing this generation is not anti-competitive whatsoever. They're finally competing at a very high level against PlayStation, which will in turn give us, the gamers, way more value, better games, and overall make the gaming industry better. And it's great that the Brazilian committee recognized that. And I hope the CMA, the EU, and all of the other committees, when they are looking at this type of stuff, they see that as well. Because at the end of the day, PlayStation has been taking part in multiple anti-consumer tactics for years and years and years. And now Xbox is finally stepping up and competing to try to reduce the amount of anti-competitive stuff that PlayStation is going to be able to do by making sure that the games that they put out are going to be accessible on multiple different devices across the entire ecosystem. And PlayStation's going to have to start to kind of bend more to what Xbox is doing. And potentially that means more PlayStation games are going to be available on multiple different devices. We're already seeing them bend a little bit by putting the games onto PC, announcing that they are putting first-party games into PC day and date for their live service games. And I think that's definitely going to translate into them putting their first-party linear single-player cinematic games onto PC day one and potentially into the PlayStation Plus service. So it's been a very interesting couple of weeks, and it's going to continue to be interesting as more of the market authorities come to their decisions. As I mentioned yesterday, the FTC is potentially coming to a decision by the end of November. We'll have to see what they have to say. Then you got the CMA and the EU as well. And I think at the end of the day, most of these authorities are going to come to the same conclusion that the Brazilian authority did. It's just a long process, and the deal is probably going to be closed closer to the original prediction that most people had, which was early 2023. But that's it for me, guys. What are your thoughts on the stuff that Brazil said about the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Xbox? Are you excited about this? Are you sad about this? Were you hoping it would get blocked? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, if you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.